This is downtown Tacoma, Portland Avenue and 25th Street. As you can see, there's a large homeless encampment here. There's supposedly 20 people living here out in the street across from a gas station, Pilot Express. So as you can see, Washington State has a serious homeless problem that needs to be addressed. We need subsidized housing, we need relief programs, we need food programs, we need to get people off the street. This is ridiculous. In this country, you have Jeff Bezos, you have Bill Gates, the richest people in the District of Washington, billionaires who aren't being taxed, and we have people living out in the street. So hopefully people are going to watch this and see what's really going on in America.
Hello, this is Christopher Ben Israel. Thank you for listening to this commentary. Folks, I live in Washington State, in Tacoma, Washington. That's about 40 minutes south of Seattle. And here in Tacoma, we have a very serious homeless crisis. So I'd say my best estimate, maybe we have like 5,000 homeless people in our city, probably, give or take, maybe. And most of the time you see them like sleeping like in tents or under bridges or just on the street. And yeah, the problem is just getting progressively worse. And I just think something needs to be done about it. Evident by me making this YouTube video. But it just seems like the politicians or the government, it just seems like they don't want to do anything about the situation. It's pretty pathetic, actually. Seems like all the politicians do is serve rich bourgeois capitalists. Like we got Microsoft, Starbucks, Amazon, all based out of Seattle, I believe, based out of Washington. These corporations should be taxed to shit, and we should use all that money to help the homeless people in Seattle and Tacoma. I mean, really, the clear answer is just build more Section 8 housing for people. Or really, you could just buy up all the houses and give everybody a free house. I mean, there's so many clear answers to this situation. It's just we don't live in an economic system designed to help people. Capitalism is just all about profiteering and racketeering. It's not about, the living conditions of each proletariat or every human being in America. It's about the bank accounts of the CEOs and the investors and the real estate warlords. So I'm going to lay out a couple of possible solutions that I know that the state of Washington can afford. First of all, tax Amazon. Actually, raise taxes on the rich. Basically raise the tax brackets and tax billionaires at a rate of like 30% or more. The reality is, especially Amazon and Jeff Bezos shouldn't be able to skip out on their taxes. And it's very clear that this has led to a degradation in our society, because as all these corporations get richer and richer, just the proletariat gets poorer and poorer, and the homeless population keeps going up. Why? Because all the people who work for these corporations and the corporations themselves either buy up real estate or bring in people who can afford to pay $2,000 a month to live in some high rise, or rent out a house from a landlord at that same price. So then the prices just keep going up and up because there's no rent control. But liberals, they don't believe in rent control. You gotta let the market forces balance it out. We can't let the government intervene and destroy what we know to be free market capitalism. It's the best system in the known world, don't you know? And all this bullshit and this and that. Dude, it can't be the best system if you have the highest homeless population. Like, fuck all that. Fuck John Locke. Fuck all that shit, dude. Marx and Lenin. Switch the balance of power. Fucking pressure politicians in order to actually help us and fucking improve the living conditions of the proletariat, of the working class. Really, nobody should be homeless in America. This country has enough wealth to where nobody should be homeless. But the thing is, does it really matter if the country, quote unquote, has wealth if it's not your wealth? It doesn't matter if America's rich if America's not going to spend that money on me. You feel it? It's a dog-eat-dog world in this country. It seems like everybody else has it figured out, though. Universal health care, Social Security, basic living conditions for human beings. But nah. In America, it's like, fuck all that. You guys gotta fend for yourselves. One other thing that the state could do is just subsidize housing for everybody. Just the state of Washington pays every Washingtonian like $800 for rent. And if your rent's any more than that, then you got to cover it yourself. And any less or around that should cover basically everybody. So at that point, most people below the poverty line would be able to find some place to move into, and also decent rent control. Nobody in this district or this district, A or B, for example, let's say Pierce County where I live, just be like, nobody in Pierce County can raise the rent above $900, let's say, or $1,000. Even that's still pretty high. And you should also make sure that there's a set available number of units that are rentable for $200 for the poorest of the population. And that's just one step in the right direction, Really, the ultimate solution is just give everybody a free house, but something like that can only be implemented at the federal level, most likely. Which I understand that. But it's up to the politicians to go to war with the bankers. But of course, they're never going to do that because the bankers pay the politicians. So, yeah. I don't know, guys. Maybe I will actually read about Hegel's master-slave dialectic or whatever. Right now, I'm just reading about Marx and capital and the current economic system. But it's clear to me that too much power has been leveraged to the rich, and they're just letting people out here literally sleep in tents on the street for no reason, even though they could literally tax the rich and then subsidize housing for the poor. And it's like, if you even say anything like that, people look at you like you're crazy. If you even suggest rent control or just subsidize housing or anything like that. But clearly, that's the solution. Things gotta change, especially in my city. There's literally just human feces on the street because these people have nowhere else to use the restroom. I mean, is like, what sort of, like I said before, like, what's the point of this society? Like, do we only exist to bomb Arabs and steal oil? Or is there actually a point to sharing is caring and all that shit they teach you when you're in kindergarten? And treat others how you want to be treated. Sharing is caring. Do unto others how you would want to be. Yeah, and all that bullshit. When you grow up, it's like, nope, work for this guy for 40 hours. And if you slip below the poverty line, or fucking if you break your leg, or if you get sick, fuck you. No one's going to help you. No one's going to share anything. Capitalism, baby. Yeah, so, I don't know. It's just stupid. Tax Jeff Bezos. Tax Bill Gates. Tax Starbucks and whoever owns that shit. Build more subsidized housing. Buy more houses back from the banks. Force rent control. Start competing with private landlords. These are all things that the state could do with the stroke of a pen. You know, guys, I actually pondered one of those things they tell you when you're younger. Oh, the pen is mightier than the sword. I mean, why is the pen mightier than the sword? I mean, if somebody has a pen and another guy has a sword and they go one-on-one to a fight to the death, obviously the guy with the sword's gonna win, right? But then I thought, oh no, it's because, guys, the pen commands the sword. The guy with the sword only has a sword because the guy with the pen wrote it down that he can have one. The guy with the sword only goes somewhere to kill because somebody with a pen wrote it down. They can solve all these problems with a stroke of a pen. Homelessness. But they choose not to. So it's time to start pressuring them to use that pen to improve the living conditions of the proletariat. Thanks for listening to this commentary. Have a good day. Blessed be the name of the Lord, the God of Israel, who freed our people Israel from the grips of Eretz Mizraim to be his very own peoples, as is still the case. Please enjoy the rest of this Grand Theft Auto 4 gameplay.
I will. It's your unlucky day. I'm searching on foot. Game over, bucko. Put your hands on your head. What the fuck is this? Enough yet? Call an ambulance! Put your hands in the air! I need suppressive fire! Weapon on the